everyone, this is River Navarro. I'm the Director of Clinical Services here at Bakersfield Behavioral Healthcare Hospital. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Wellness Wednesday. I'd also like to say hello to all of our Facebook family and friends. I want to talk to you about something a little different than I have the last couple weeks. So let me kind of refresh. The last couple weeks I talked about some of our clinical themes of the day. I talked about managing grief and loss and some other really cool things, but I kind of want to switch gears this time, and I want to talk to you about crisis warning signs. So this is if you or your family member, your loved one, your friend, someone you know, I want to kind of give you some information about signs that you or their mental health may be declining in some way. Sometimes there are signs or triggers or things like that that we can use to be able to assess that can help us know if we or that other person is requiring some type of either outpatient treatment or maybe even an inpatient stay, whether it's here at BBHH or at another hospital. So I want to really, give you some education, give you some information, and really empower you to feel more comfortable assessing for these things yourself. And then, of course, if you have any further questions, comments, concerns, anything of that nature, you can always, give us a call. So I'm just going to jump right in here. So first things first, you notice that the person is having trouble performing daily tasks, things that they would normally do with ease. So I'll give you some example. We call these ADLs here, that's activities of daily living. So if they're having trouble bathing, basic hygiene stuff, brushing their teeth, getting out of bed, changing clothes, combing or brushing their hair, you're just kind of noticing a decline in these things, or it just seems to take so much effort on their part, much more so than in the past, or maybe they're requiring prompting to do these things, and that was never the case before. So you might notice some things like that and know that there's something going on, and maybe it requires intervention. The next thing, noticing rapid mood swings. Okay, so maybe noticing changes in someone's energy level. Maybe they're extremely hyperactive. Their mood is very elevated. They're on top of the world, and this is just kind of a complete change in their character that might alert you something is going on. Or on the flip side, you might notice that they're very withdrawn, very depressed. Maybe they just don't seem to experience any pleasure out of anything. Simple things like eating, having interactions with other people. Things just don't really seem to, they don't get any enjoyment out of it. Or maybe they just don't have any energy at all to do anything. So if you're noticing these things and that person normally isn't that way, that might be another sign that they might need help. Noticing increased agitation. So someone that's normally very calm, mild-mannered, cool, whatever you want to call it, now all of a sudden they're making verbal threats, they may be violent, they may be becoming upset easily, destroying property, or they just seem to be out of control in some way that you don't remember them acting that way before. That might be another sign. Any type of, we'll say, it says abusive behavior, but I'll give you some examples of that. So maybe an increase in substance use. I know with so many people under quarantine right now or social distancing, I know that many people are abusing substances to cope. We've seen increases in substance use, depression, mental health issues, and then also with people having trouble getting in for treatment, and even mental health teams being limited in some of the services that they can provide. It's created this increase in people self-medicating using drugs and alcohol. So that's definitely something you want to be assessing for, whether that's with yourself or with someone else, because that's really important. You know, if you're noticing you're finding yourself self-medicating more to cope with different things, then that may require intervention or assistance. Other behaviors as well might include any type of self-harm behavior, you know, where the person is causing direct harm to their body, or maybe they're being abusive with other people, and you know, you just hadn't seen those things before. So all those things are very serious, and you know, you may want to call for help at that point. Isolating. So I know many of us are already, you know, kind of separate from others at the moment, but even if this is someone that you're normally in contact with and you notice they're, you know, like not returning your text messages, they're not being as responsive, you know, maybe you've scheduled calls with them and they seem to be, you know, canceling all the time, or just you're noticing a pattern of them either isolating themselves or not really engaging with you or other people. You know, there may be some depression, there may be some other issue going on. Losing touch with reality. So I'm referring specifically to psychosis. That is, you know, seeing, hearing, tasting, feeling things that other people don't. Some people may be very confused, not recognizing people that they normally do. You know, or they're saying that they may be either talking to themselves or responding to maybe people or things in the environment that you're not seeing or that don't seem to be there. That's also a sign that they may be experiencing a mental health crisis. And lastly, paranoia. Maybe all of a sudden they're very suspicious, not very trusting of other people when they normally were. You know, thinking others are out to get them, or maybe are going to harm them. You know, maybe they don't want to eat certain foods because they think it might be poisoned. You know, not wanting to drink the water because someone told them it was contaminated. You know, you name it. There might be all sorts of things that they might be paranoid about that they weren't before. So if you or your family member needs some help identifying warning signs, I have this really cool handout that I'd like to share with you. This is something that you can complete on your own or with another person if you're going to be assisting them with this. This is what it looks like. I found this online and I think it's really cool, and I wanted to review it with you. So you can call this a safety plan, but there's definitely parts of it that help identify some of the warning signs that I mentioned earlier. You might be able to fill this in, and it might help you or someone else start to know when your mental health is declining, or maybe you're struggling more than you were before. So there is a section that is labeled safety plan. There's one for triggers. These are things that you know, really push your buttons or really put you over the edge, things that might cause you to have either an increase in symptoms or something like that. Let me think of an example for you. One thing many clients have told me over the years is having like relationship problems. Maybe like you're having more arguments with your significant other, family member, child. You know, maybe there's some conflict going on or something. That can be a big trigger for people. You know, and trigger, you know, whether it's depression, anxiety, you know, self-harm, substance use, so on and so forth. So that tends to be a big one for a lot of people. There's also a section for signs that you're doing well, signs that you're okay. So I really like this one, right? So you definitely want to give yourself and your family member, your loved one, credit when things are going well, and you want to be able to identify those things too. Of course, warning signs or signs that something may be wrong. So I already went through some of those. Signs that I'm not okay. So that's kind of still maybe not necessarily as strong as the warning sign, but Maybe you're noticing that you're sleeping much more than you usually do, and that's just kind of out of the ordinary for you, or it's something that might be linked to depression or some sign that there's a bigger issue going on. So you want to be able to identify warning signs, of course, but also other changes in your behavior that maybe could get worse. And then, of course, roadmap to recovering. So this is a plan that, like I said, you can do with yourself or others that can kind of help you start to recognize some of those warning signs, but maybe kind of earlier on so that you can intervene sooner. So like I mentioned earlier, the example of you notice you or that person is sleeping much more than usual. That might be a good time to have a conversation with someone, like, hey, what can we do? Noticing that maybe your depression level is higher, things like that. So the idea is you want to start noticing changes in behavior, emotions, ability to get things done, so on and so forth, much earlier on until they get to that point of crisis. So that's all I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed listening to all the information I presented today. I definitely look forward to presenting more information next week. If you or your family member needs a free confidential assessment, BBHH is always here for you. Please contact us anytime. Happy Wellness Wednesday to all, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.